Now, it's one of the youngest in the party's history, and 11 of the 27 jobs belong to women. But what does the shiny new shadow cabinet say about Ed Miliband and the direction of Labour? More to the point, will it be a winning formula? Here's our Adam, not Andrew.
What better way to celebrate elevation to the front bench than a trip with the boss to a washing machine factory in Worcester, which one of Ed Miliband's top team did yesterday. New faces include 5 MPs elected just last year, like boy wonder Chuka Amuna, who's Shadow Business Secretary, and the former Bank of England economist Rachel Reeves as Shadow Chief Secretary to the Treasury. This is the first time a Labour leader has picked his own team in opposition, after shadow cabinet elections were ditched in favour of selection.
If you have a system in government where the leader chooses his own team, then that should also be replicated in opposition. If we aspire to be a government, we should behave like a government in waiting, and that's really what he's tried to do.
I think it's really interesting, the mixture of people he's brought in. I think bringing in someone like Chuka, into Biz, and Rachel Reeves into the Treasury, when we're facing a government that has no idea about what to do about growth, what to do about the economy, and we can show that we actually are the party that is creative, that can continue thinking about things, and show how Britain should be led forward.
And they've been ringing the changes here at Labour HQ as well. In the past week, they've stopped using New Labour email addresses and started using plain old Labour ones. And I'm told the pictures of Blair and Brown that used to hang in reception have been replaced by a picture of Ed Miliband. So, how's all this rebranding going down with these fairly outspoken Labour bloggers?
The fundamental issues still remain. Firstly, this was a reshuffle done on the basis of political weakness rather than political strength, and therefore his options were limited. And at the end of the day, the fact is the member of the shadow cabinet over whom the greatest doubts remain is Ed Miliband himself, and that's the problem and the issue that's going to need to be addressed over the next 12 months.
I'd like to see us developing a bit of a policy agenda. Obviously, you can't write the 2015 manifesto in 2011. We need to be looking for policies that would be relevant in 2020. You can't write policies for 9 years' time. But we need to be big, we need to be bold, we need to start setting the agenda.
It was all smiles as the new boys and girls met for the first time this morning.
What are you laughing at, Adam?
Us, I think.
But there won't be many laughs if this team fails to make an impact between now and the next election.
Clarke is with us. Well, at a time when living standards are being squeezed remorselessly, unemployment rising, a general no economic growth at all, you would think they could make an impact, but they're not making a big impact.
I think that's true. I think the conference itself, the Labour conference, failed to come across strongly with an alternative to what the government is doing. I think the economic proposition that Labour puts at the moment is unconvincing. I do think Ed has done well to reform this shadow cabinet team. I think it's a better team than
some new faces there.
New faces, quite a bit of energy. But they've got some tough tasks. If you take what Ed describes in his speech about the predatory and productive capitalism, or whatever the phrase was, that's what Chuka and his team have to sort out, or his team too.
Give us some examples, and they weren't able to do so at the Labour conference. I mean, unlike you, we had to go to the Labour conference and we couldn't get examples.
I saw you doing that. I didn't know why he didn't mention the Vickers report on banking, which I thought would have been quite an interesting example with its casino capitalism, casino banking and retail banking. But I agree with you.
Because the person that he praised, John Rose, had just gone to work for a casino.
I thought I didn't think there was coherence, let's put it politely, in what Ed Miliband was saying. The main job for that new team that's been launched today is to get a coherent set of policy propositions.
How big a problem is Ed Miliband?
I don't think he's a particularly big problem, but I think he's still got a long way to go. I mean, that's the name of the game. He's taken some good decisions. As I say, this decision to create a new shadow cabinet, I think, was a good decision, moving in the right way. But I don't think he's succeeded, and I don't think his party conference speech succeeded in setting out a vision and picture for where Labour ought to be and how it should be challenging the Conservative Liberals.
Well, he maintains that he wants Labour to speak from the centre, but he also maintains that the centre has moved to the left. Is that a sensible analysis?
Not in my view. I mean, you have to start from the core point about the economic deficit. What made this coalition happen at all, May a year ago, was the need to have a stable government to deal with the economic situation. They made a set of agreements on deficit reduction, which you can argue with or not. I'd argue with some parts of the tax and spend remit not being right. But you can't just pretend that you're not on that agenda, and I don't think Labour has succeeded in saying they are on that agenda, and so we're simply dismissed by most people thinking about the most central question facing the country today, which is the economy.
What did you make of it when part of the conference booed the mention of Tony Blair?
Oh, just stupid. I mean, completely stupid. I've no idea how, as you say, I wasn't there. I don't know how many people is actually involved. In a hall like that, just a couple of people can make the noise. But for anybody to have that feeling in the Labour Party is ridiculous.
He's got time. He's got time on his side at the moment.
Certainly has.
And the economy doesn't look like it's going to heal very quickly.
And the coalition isn't doing very well. You referred to it in the previous discussion. Apart from its core mission on deficit reduction, it's got a whole set of very ill-conceived reform proposals on health, on police, on education, on students, student finance, which haven't been thought through and which are likely, in my opinion, to come a cropper. And that, of course, gives opportunities to the opposition.
You must be very pleased to see all these ex-Brownites getting into the jobs.
They're young men and women, and I hope they do well.
Despite their background.
They're young men and women, and I hope they do well.
Thank you, Charles Clarke.